The beauty about technology is the empowerment that it provides for people. Technology should be a means to an end, not an end in itself. One of the things that we've been focusing on is raising the level of digital awareness and participation in the region. So in 2016, for example, we pledged to train 1 million people across the continent and in 1 year. And we saw a lot of great success stories from that. And last year, we expanded that commitment to train 10 million people across the continent in 5 years. Every year, we have about 11 million people entering the job market, but we're only creating about 2 million jobs. You know, one of the worst things a society can create is people that have nothing to lose.
The Employment Trust Fund has been set up by government as an institutional framework to address job creation in Africa's largest city. I think that you and yourself and a few other people have alluded to the fact that it's just a disaster waiting to happen if we don't address the unemployment issues. And so in terms of the state and government understanding what role it plays, it has set up the Employment Trust Fund. And what we're realizing is once you have the infrastructure in place, which is what Juliet was just talking about, then you begin to attract the partners to work with you.
So for us, one of our major stakeholders is actually the community, you know, because without the support of the community, most of the work we do would not be successful. And I think it's because of the impact within the communities that, you know, our work has attracted more organizations and more partners. There's usually one story I like to give, especially when it comes around inclusion, of a particular community that, you know, had women going to the stream and almost another 1 hour coming back. And so they felt the solution of that problem was to build a borehole right in the middle of the community. And so they brought their trucks and everything, and in 2 weeks was a huge borehole with clean, fresh, pure water. And they left. And 6 months down the line, they came back and no one had used the water. The women had not used the water. The community was not using the borehole, and it got destroyed. And the reality was because there was no community inclusive approach in finding out what the solution of that problem was. For the women, that was the only way for them to leave their husbands, their families, bond, gossip, engage with themselves while they are going to the stream. And even though the water in the stream was not the cleanest, but for them that was the only way they could get some kind of freedom.
And so when Junior Achievement first came into Nigeria, we thought that we just had to customize the worldwide programs to Nigeria. And increasingly we're finding that with the partners that we're developing and the beneficiaries that we're reaching in different parts of Nigeria, we actually need an even more customized product by region. Because when you go to the Niger Delta, the issues there are very different from the Northeast or the Southwest. And so recently we started this regional strategy where we're developing, it's still entrepreneurship, but around looking at the regional resources, looking at the opportunities within the region, and then empowering the beneficiaries to be able to develop, you know, design-centered, people-centered design, where what are the issues within this community, what are the natural resources that we have, what are the human resources we have, and how can we develop a business that uses all those resources to make money but to also develop the community. So an example is a program that we're doing with ACT Foundation, where it's called My Business, My Region. We're looking at the Southwest region, and it's actually looking at businesses where entrepreneurs have looked at problems and developed solutions.
So because we already know it's not possible to be successful without supporting your communities, the group, the Dangote Group, does every project from boreholes where the factories and the plants and the projects are, to roads, to schools, to hospitals, to scholarship schemes. So there's a necessary connection between running your business and the community in which you operate. But then your customers are also part of your community, right? So without your customers, you don't have a business. So the idea of making sure that you're seen as a company that cares and is doing the right thing and that is helping is absolutely necessary. And I think what Yao was saying about you're not going to be successful if you don't think about how do we manage the environment, how do we not pollute, how do we make sure that we're not destroying farmland around us, how do we make sure that we, for our own sustainability, we need to put these things in motion.